Okay, so there's a lot of information about, forms and how forms are used on the internet. There's a lot of research in there. Of course, then the Nielsen guy did some research in there, and how long the boxes should be, how close they should be, blah blah blah. There's a lot of different research, but this one is a nice general kind of article, and it makes you think about just random general things about a form. And this again is from the Smashing magazine, but again it's kind of old. 2008, but hey, it still has good information. So let's read through this a little bit and think about, your form maybe on your site. The most, maybe, why put a form on your site at all? I think that's the most important thing. Do I need to have somebody input data? What are you trying to get from them? Again, the most important thing is people don't want to fill out a form. It's extra work. It's almost like going to Pinterest, right? You would love to go to Pinterest and search and look on things, but they don't let you look at anything unless you sign up. You ever notice that on Pinterest? You're like, I want to just look. And they won't even let you look unless you sign up. That's painful because you want to get somewhere, but they're making you go through a step to do that. Probably the most important thing that you're trying to get is their email address, right? Because once you've got somebody's email address, boom, you can start spamming them. Spam them. That's really what most people are looking for. They want to know who you are and what your email address is. And, of course, you can get more information out of that once you have the email address. In this case, forms aren't easy, of course, is what they're trying to say there. So they did a survey. This article is about a survey they did, and then, of course, there's an updated version right there. Let's look at that real quick. Well, they do have an updated version. Okay, let's finish with the first one, though. So they did a survey of 100 important sites, and this is sort of what they came up with. And, of course, this is kind of, again, a little older. But what word do you use when you're asking them to input, right? What do you use? So here's the common words that you use. Create an account, right? Register, join, sign up, or start here. And I don't know what different means, probably just random, whatever. So, I think the word that you use might be somewhat of what the data that you're going to use it for, right? If they're signing up, if they're creating an account, usually you expect them to come back, right? You create an account, hey, you come back, you just use your login, right? Register, kind of that, but not necessarily. You could use register to register a product maybe that they purchased, but they're not going to come back, but maybe they want to fill out a warranty or something like that, right? Register. Join is probably coming back to, join is probably if you're joining maybe a group of people, maybe you're joining because join means kind of become a member. Other than create an account could be I don't join my bank, I create an account at my bank, right? So depending on the word you use, sign up, start here. I don't know. What other words do you think out there? I don't know, what does Pinterest use? I was going to go there, wouldn't I? Here, let's try it. T-R-E-S-T, Pinterest? Pin, P-I-N, T-E-R-E-S-T .com. And if you go Pinterest, they'll kind of let you start without. But, you gotta be kidding me. If you go Pinterest, they'll give you a little taste of it. Okay, they got sign up and log in. Of course, log in is once you've already signed up. And then as soon as you start scrolling, it's going to pop up. Here it comes. And they won't let you do anything. So they got the word sign up. She used Pinterest to roll her pasta. Join Pinterest. Join Pinterest. So they're using the word join. And of course, I would love for you to sign up with your Facebook account. Boy, think of the data they can get from that. All these, companies now are allowing you to sign up with Facebook, allowing you to sign up with your LinkedIn account and things like that, because then they can take that data that you're using and match it to what you're also doing somewhere else. I tend not to do that. If I sign up for like when I sign up LinkedIn, it's LinkedIn only, not a, whatever. But this is very common, very common. Now, there is some downfalls to it. One of them is Apple won't allow you to do that. If you make an app in Apple, the Apple, when you get to the app class next semester, we'll talk about that. Okay, so see, I'm pushing for other classes next semester. But Apple, when you make an app for Apple, they will not allow you to sign up using anything other than it has to be an email address, like a real one. You can't use your Facebook account to use in an app in Apple, or you can't use your LinkedIn or social media. They have a limit that you cannot use a social media account in an Apple app. It's a limitation of the app itself. It's one of the requirements. There's a lot of requirements to making apps on Apple. They have a whole list, and we'll learn about those more next semester, but I'm just pointing one of them out to you right now. You can't really use this to sign up for an app in Apple.
Okay.
Yeah?
Are you saying that you can't, because I use apps where they, like one of the apps I use, the only way I can sign in is with the Facebook sign.
Is it through the iOS? Is it a partnership with them?
Well, it's on the App Store.
But is it's an app though that is partnered with them, or is it?
What do you mean partner? Partner with Apple or partner with Facebook?
Yeah, partner with Facebook. If it's an affiliate, you could. But if let's say I'm a general person in public, right, and I make an app about doing something, making a map, basically making a map, right, a map app. In order for the person to sign up to use that app, they can't sign up using a social media. At least that was a limitation last spring. I don't know if they've changed it. I'm going off of what I learned last spring.
So you're saying if it's an Apple specific app? Well,
Yeah, it's an app that goes on to the iOS. One of the limitations that I was reading last spring about how to get your app on, how to go through the process to get your app approved, is that they have to use a non-social media sign up.
Yeah, because I was doing iOS this summer.
And you were able to do that?
Well, one of the things is they have like APIs now that specifically you can code into your iOS application, where it's just like signing with Facebook. Like there's an app called Coffee Meets Bagel where it's annoying because the only way you can sign in is through Facebook, and that it actually ticks me off because
you want to use something else.
Well, because every time I sign in with Facebook, Facebook starts sending me notifications saying like, "Hey, get back onto Facebook," and I'm just like, "No, I don't." The only reason I'm signing in and using Facebook is because this app forces me to use Facebook sign-in.
Maybe that's different. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do know that there's a lot of apps out there that have this Facebook sign-in through iOS, but I don't know if there's something different that you're talking about.
I don't know. I was off the limitations that I was reading last spring of the getting your app approved. Or one of maybe that's the only way is you weren't allowed to have the only way that. I think that's what I'm talking about. So you're saying the only way you have to go through that?
Yeah, for this app that I was using, the only way you could sign.
Yeah, I didn't think that could be approved by Apple. The only way. I don't know. We'll have to read further about that. But just remember, there might be a limitation to using social media login. How about that? Or only social media login. Okay, let's move on. So what do you use? I don't know. What would you use for your projects? Create an account? Register? Join? Become a member? That's a common one, right? It's not in this list. I don't know. Think about it. It's important. Of course, most popular was sign up. But again, this is 2008. Register, create an account. Where is the link to the sign up placed? Of course, most of them are placed in the header, right? The top part of your website, 95%. So most of the ones that you can go to, and I had a PDF or a Word document that explained that I wanted to surf today. Oh, here we go. Sites we want to look at. Here's some sites. I was looking at these thinking that we could talk about some of these. Oh, it's Word. Okay, we already talked about Pinterest a little bit. Bed Bath & Beyond, there we go. Let's talk about that one for a moment. Okay, so on Bed Bath & Beyond, of course, they want you to be able to buy things. Okay, so notice that they have, of course, a login at the top. They have a giant search box right here. Okay, and then, of course, they have a pull-down menu with more information in here, like guest registry. Notice how they're using first and last name, and then a pull-down menu. Pull-down menus, of course, are very popular with, of course, the state that you're from. Notice how, you know, they have a nice square kind of look to it, and then things like that. I wanted to look at the login for a moment here. Again, here's a create an account or existing customer. Look, all you really need to do to create an account on Bed Bath & Beyond, of course, looks like an email and password. And then you got to sign in. But of course, most of the time when you're signing up, they ask you to verify, right? Well, the purpose of the verify is you have to go to your email and click on a verify button because they don't want you to be a robot. You know, the robot is a common problem where, you know, hackers are writing things and oh, and look, they let you sign up with your Facebook account. I'm sure they would love that too, wouldn't they? Yes. Mm-hmm. So very simple form here to account or registry. I don't know if there's any more that I'm sure they want more. You're probably have to hit sign in. Of course, can you put a bogus email account in there? Let's try Bill Gates at Microsoft.com. And what is Bill Gates' password? Redmond, WA, Washington. How about that? Uh-oh. I guess I don't have an account. Oh, that was because I have an account. Oh, I had to create an account. Oh, I have to put a valid email address in. Bill Gates at Microsoft.com. It's probably been taken. Uh-oh. They're checking their database. Oh, it looks like I can go through. Bill Gates at Microsoft.com hasn't been taken. You would think Bill Gates would be, you know, signed up for. Doesn't he have a couple children? Bed Bath & Beyond by now. Look, it's an empty email account. Look at that. Oh, I spelled Microsoft wrong. That's why. Okay, but again, sometimes I put a star next to it, making sure that you have to put it in there. The term that they use to describe that is validate. The programming term is validate. There's a variety of different ways to validate a form. Probably the most secure way is to have it validate, compare it to a database. But you can also do a front-end validate where you use JavaScript. JavaScript isn't the most secure, of course, because you're not really going to the database and comparing it to something. So that's a pretty simple form. What's that? The term validate is if you ever, when you hit a submit and it says you forgot to fill out a box, right? It comes up with an error message and says, hey, you forgot to put your name in or something like that. The term validate means that you're validating the form to make sure that they filled out the boxes correctly. That's, the term is validate in programming. Okay, let's continue. So the header is probably the most important spot. I don't know. The design of the form and how it looks. Since the user has clicked on the sign up link, he is likely to have decided to sign up for services you are offering. More importantly, he has not clicked on the link to explore further navigational options or track the blinking advertisement. Consequently, designers tend to remove all unnecessary details and distractions. Again, what they're saying is make your form simple. This is an older Yahoo form, but if you look, you got your first name, last name, gender, birthday, where you live, your postal address, your ID, password. I don't know what the current one is. Let's see what the current Yahoo one is. Of course, they streamlined it, right? Most of the ones today want you to put your mobile number in so you can recover your password, right? That's a common way of doing it. And then they actually have a separate number there. So as you can tell, you know, this was from 2008. They ask a little bit less, right? They probably don't need all this anymore, right? They probably already know how old you are by now. I'm sure they already know how old you are just by your birthday, right? They still make you do your birthday. And then, of course, they have the CAPTCHA option. These are the crazy characters you see when you're signing up to make sure you're not a robot. Now, of course, that's kind of, you know, Google's gone away with that. See the CAPTCHA? A CAPTCHA is a complete automated public Turing test to tell computers and humans apart. Okay. So again, that's where you used to see the squiggly lines. Now you don't see that as much anymore because Google has gotten away from that. Google has gone from using that to, of course, now they have the reCAPTCHA. Okay. It's basically Google knows who you are by now. They know exactly who you are and where you come from. So they test you. Hey, are you a real person? They know who you are and where you're from. So they got something called a reCAPTCHA. Now it's free. You can sign up for this through Google. You can put it on your form. And, you know, as long as you have a Google account, of course. And it's basically I'm not a robot, and so you can read about it. Here we can watch it. Here we go. Let's watch a little video.
CAPTCHAs are meant to protect websites from spam and abuse. But as scammers have grown more sophisticated, CAPTCHAs have gotten harder and harder to solve. So the reCAPTCHA team went back to the lab to develop a new, more secure, yet dramatically simplified reCAPTCHA experience. Introducing the No Captcha reCAPTCHA from Google. For the first time, this revolutionary new API will let real people pass through without ever seeing a CAPTCHA. Using an advanced risk analysis engine, the new reCAPTCHA effectively separates out humans from bots and is even more secure. No CAPTCHA means no frustration. People get to where they're going faster, and everyone stays happy, except bots.
There you go. See, Google's changing the world. I don't know. I get very few spam on a form that I use without but I don't get very many people, so it doesn't really matter. This guy is pretty smart. I like this guy.
Got an interesting question from Queens, New York. Elaine, or
Okay, whatever. There's a reCAPTCHA there. Okay, let's move on. So again, you'll see that a lot, and it's not used as much anymore because Google is changing the way we do everything. So they talked about putting ads inside your form is a no-no right there. And additional forms, let's see, one-page form versus multi-page form. Again, if you're asking somebody for a lot of data, you might need to give them, you know, more than one page. But, you know, it's probably best to try and streamline it and have it as simple as possible. Again, you know, I think in the past we used to ask a lot more data than you do today because you can get so much more data out of people, really, you know, from just, you know, once you have their email address and their name, I mean, you can pretty much get everything about that person. Where, you know, 10 years ago, it wasn't that easy. Nowadays, you know, 10 years later, you know, I can find out pretty much everywhere you live, what's your phone number, you know, everything from just your email address and your name. Where in the past we used to have multiple paths, you know, what's your favorite food, what's your favorite eye color? Geez, I can look that stuff up now, DMV. Then they talk about the titles of the fields. Where the labels are. I kind of like this one where it's right aligned and left aligned compared to this. See how it is right here? So think about where your text is next to your box. Using color is fine. Probably using the same color scheme of your design is probably important so that the people know, hey, this is the same website I'm signing up for is the same as that I'm doing. Vertical versus horizontal alignment. You know, this is probably a lot better, especially when it comes down to cell phone, right? Because you're going to take your design and put it on a cell phone. This would be very difficult to do on a cell phone, right? You would have to reorder it. And that's about it. I don't know what there was like a new one. Here it is. A revised version of this article. Or part 2, I guess. Not revised, part 2. I don't know. Oh, of course, you know, you can have a minimum password requirement. That's something you can add, right? A minimum, you've seen that before, minimum passwords. Most of them today, you have to use an upper, lowercase letter, a number, and a crazy character, and have at least 8 characters long, right? Something like that. Static or Ajax. No, that's what I was talking about, validation. The real-time validation is usually done with Ajax. Ajax stands for asynchronous JavaScript. And it basically means that the web page is talking to the database as you are working on it, right? That's how, you know, when you're filling out, Google, right? If we go to Google and we start typing in something, notice how the data starts popping up right here. Google's, you know, sending data back and forth in real time as you're typing a letter in. That would be the JavaScript, the asynchronous JavaScript. The other way of validating forms could be just JavaScript on your site itself. Then, of course, usually you get this if you hit submit and it comes up with the red boxes saying you failed to, fill things out. So it's common form. You've all been through forms before. You all know what forms are. So for your, for your project, you should have a sample of what a form would look like on your site. I can do one kind of quick in Illustrator if you want. First thing I would consider is how big my box would be. Is it a pop-up window or is it a window that is inside my site? And you know what I mean by that? Like, think about it in the Pinterest one, right? They kind of had it over top a little bit, over top of the information. Usually it's in a window that's over top of the data on the site when you're signing up. Did I have some other ones we were going to look at? Oh, here it is. I was thinking of sleeping. That's why I remember the sleep before. This is sleep something. Oh, here, sleep foundation. There we go. Was there a form here I wanted to fill out? I don't know why I linked this one up. Hold on, I have to remember why I linked this one up. Oh, I think it was the sign up. Oh, I think I wanted to just talk about how simple it was. Just sign up. All they want is your email address and go. So also I wanted to talk about this one was because when you shrink it down for responsive design, the menu is a pull-out menu. This became very popular last year, where instead of doing a burger menu that actually pulls down, it actually has a burger menu that kind of slides the menu out. Then, of course, they have the pull-down menu and a search box. And what was the other one? Oh, some trout. I was thinking of fishing in this one. Was there a sign-up form here? Oh, there was a join. So you got join, renew, donate, and as you roll the mouse over, you can see it gives you a pop-up menu. And I just wanted to show you the fields. Look how big the fields are. Nice and big. Why do you think they make such big fields? They're awful big, aren't they? Many of their members are older seniors. They're the one people that can go out and trout fish. It's not us young people that have to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's the old people. So look at it. They make these giant fields. Look how big they are. I was thinking of that. I was like, why is it so big? But look at it. Put in my name. No, it's still kind of small, but look how big the field is compared to my name. Big box. So think about your user and how that might affect how you make your field. Again, they have pull-down menus. Look, limited ones. What if you don't have an American Express? Hey, maybe they're pull-down menu. Pull-down menu. Pull-down menu. So that's why I wanted to talk about that one. Notice how they have dark with light fields, or light background and dark fields here. Do you see that? So you need to, and they're using color in a certain area. They're telling you why you should sign up, maybe. We work, and then they give you a nice little thing of why you should sign up. You should, encourage people to sign up somehow. Why are they signing up? I don't know. So again, I'll just go over some basic field options inside of Illustrator for right now. So I'm just going to make a random Illustrator file, and the reason why I want to talk about this is alignment. So again, I want you to come up with a form if you have people signing up for your website. It could be a simple form. In this case, I'm going to use a nice, simple, round rectangle to give my basic form. So let's say somebody clicks on join, and I want them to join. I'm going to use a round rectangle, and so we'll call it, they want to sign up there. And I may make the edges a little bit more rounder. So here's my basic form. Maybe bring this in a little bit more. There we go. Of course, you should probably have some information at the top of your form why they should sign up. Right? They should sign up. You can add color. This is just a basic stroke that goes around my box. You can give it some nice color. Maybe this is part of your design. Part of your design. There we go. Hey, I like color. Again, are they signing up with a box? We'll put an input box here. Do you want, should the words be on this side? Would it be like this? Or should it be like that? I don't know. It's up to you. I mean, it's your form. You live and make it the way you want. Also on the website, on Angel, I also included some crazy forms. Let's look at those real quick before I continue. Again, here's one. They made it look like a postcard that people were signing up. Hey, you know, if you have a whimsical kind of website, I guess, is that a word, whimsical? I guess it's a word. Website, you might want to do that. I got form here. A lot of them, of course, are like letters. This is probably an old article. Oh, we didn't even talk about calendar. Or a slider. Simple forms. So there's some nice samples in there that you can look at. Okay, let's get back to Illustrator. Again, you can, it depends on how you want to design yours. This is probably the most common, is to have the name first. Let me lock this background so I'm not messing with it. Hold on, let me lock the background. Oh, jeez, really? Okay. You can color your fields. If it has a dark background, you might want to have an input field like that. You might not be able to see it very well on the projector. Let me exaggerate. There we go. So again, you noticed before it was dark on light, or you can have a dark background, or do you have a dark background? Oh, I locked it already, and now I want to change it. Or do you have a dark background with a pure white box? Contrast is important. How about that? Makes it easier to see the box. When you're making a mock-up, you can duplicate things. The duplicate option is the same on every application. Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, whatever. If you're using any of the selection tools, you can use the option, click and drag to make a box. You can option, click and drag. We should have done both of them at the same time. All right. Most likely you're looking for their email. Is the email box bigger than their last name and phone number? I don't know. Maybe. Because their email might include more characters than that. What else would you want? Maybe a password? Notice how now these are aligned all left align here, right? So let's exaggerate a little bit so we can learn a little bit here. I'm going to move this around a little bit. I'm learning Illustrator. I'm kind of new to Illustrator. Moving things around. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So when you're, probably using Illustrator, you probably might be new to these programs like Illustrator and Photoshop. Both Illustrator and Photoshop have an alignment feature that allows you to line things up. Okay? So if you want to align things and evenly space them, you can do that in these programs. Both Illustrator and Photoshop now have an alignment feature. Illustrator is all I had. At Photoshop, I believe they just started. Again, it's called Align. It's a pop-up window in the programs. And let me talk about that real quick. How that works is the term is evenly distribute. Distribute is the term that you can use. Because right now you notice the space between email and last name is bigger than the space between last name and first name, right? You can see the difference there, right? See? We? Da? Da. Okay, we'll do, what is that, German? Da? Russian, okay. Yeah. Okay, how about that? Okay, so look at the space. It's all messed up. You're pulling your hair out. I can't align things in Illustrator. It's painful. Okay, so here's how we can do it. I can click on, I'm going to align first all my boxes here. So here I'm going to do it. I'm going to select all my boxes. And I'm going to use left align right here. See, alignment is a pop-up window. Left align. What's that? It's underneath window. All the pop-up windows are under window. All these are pop-up windows. The one I'm looking at is called align right here. Align. So you can do left align. And then if you want to evenly space them, you can go to where it says vertically align center. Okay, or no, I want vertically distribute center. This is the one I want. This will evenly space them so that all the spaces between the boxes are nice and aligned. Boom. Okay, so I'm going to do the same. I'm going to move these over a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing with the last name. I can select the names here, the words here. This time I'm going to do right align, so they're all right aligned. And then I can evenly distribute them vertically. Okay, so now everything is perfectly aligned. So when you're using these programs, Photoshop, I believe, has the same thing, doesn't it? Let's look at Photoshop for a moment, because I know some of you know Photoshop or learning Photoshop. And let's make a new file in Photoshop. Using Photoshop. I would use probably the objects in Photoshop. There's a box. Ooh, nice and pink too. Pink input box. There we go. There's the pink input box. Maybe this one's a little bit longer. So Photoshop has similar tools. Whoosh, I didn't want to do that. Evil. Oh, can't undo. Jeez. Okay. Whatever. So you make some boxes in Photoshop, same thing, right? Boxes in Photoshop, the same thing. Again, they don't have alignment. It's up here at the top. It's up here. See it at the top up here? See up here? It's the same things. You got your alignments, alignment, evenly distribute. So they do have it in Photoshop. It's not a pop-up menu. It's up here at the top. See it up here? So if I want to take all of these objects, I have to select them all again. To select multiple objects, you hold your Shift key down. And again, I have my left align. Well, here let's see it happen. Here we go. Whoosh. Here we go. Yeah. Struggling to make ends meet here. Okay, so what can I do? I can select my multiple boxes inside of Photoshop. I can do my left align here. And then I can do my evenly distribute here. So they do have the same options. Very, very useful for you making things inside these applications. Then, of course, the last thing I probably need to do is put my input boxes here. My submit box, right? So you have to make a box for submit. Whoosh, round rectangle. That doesn't look good. What do we want? Oh, round rectangle. That's what I wanted. Make sure all the fonts are the same size. Don't make this bigger. Say, oh, look how small that text is inside that button. That looks kind of silly, doesn't it? Okay, well, let's go to our text type character, and let's make it 18 point. There we go. That looks better, doesn't it? Well, I wouldn't do that, because now you have this bigger text next to smaller text. You should keep them all the same size. If you're going to make this one 18, you should go through and make everything 18 then. Maybe not necessarily the title, that could be a different, but all the boxes. So now I got to go and realign everything and stuff, but try not to use different things of what's that? What's that?
The screen blacked out for a second.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that. I'm sorry. Okay, so what do you think of my input box? Line everything up, nice and lined. Simple circles, squares, boxes. You can do the same thing inside of Photoshop, right? In Photoshop, if you're doing things for interface design, they have, again, in Photoshop, I know you're learning Photoshop in Gene's class and stuff. The tools you want to use, of course, is the objects. This one right here. You have squares, circles, triangles, whatever object you want right here. Then you can duplicate them. Any questions? Yes.
I'm not just related, but it might be. Is it possible to crop in Illustrator? 'Cause
Crop?
I can't find a crop button.
No, there's no crop. What though? Crop what?
Crop the picture in Illustrator.
There is. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Do that stuff in Photoshop and import it in. I don't know. Again, thinking about forms and all that is really important. The words that you use, I think, are very important. What do you want them to do? Sign up, become a member, get a newsletter, things like that.